it seems so much easier, and I'm speaking from experience.
Mm-hmm.
It seems so much easier, or at least much more routine, to judge, let's just even say myself,
Yeah.
and speak negatively.
Yes.
Like, Untethered Soul, I think it was like, you'd never be friends with your inner self. Like the things that you say to yourself, like, would you ever be best friends with that person? No, we're so hard on ourselves.
Right.
Why the heck are we programmed like that? Or is this, why are we hard on ourselves? Why would we do that?
It's a great question. I get it in different iterations of that. I would assert it's because that's the dimension we're in. Right. So for me, from my perspective, because looking at the deepest level of who we are these limitless spiritual, energetic beings, and we've manifested into this physical meat suit on a place called planet Earth. Why did we come here? Because we had karma to resolve. And the karma being limitations, fears, perceptions of inadequacies. And life, one of my favorite quotes that a lot of people share is, life will present you with people and circumstances to reveal where you're not free.
100%.
So you're always going to attract whatever it is that you need in order to be that subtle sort of form of resistance and sloughing to be able to remove the constraints that currently inhibit the limitlessness of your soul.
Right.
And this paradigm is perfect for that. So the language that we use, that you cite, is derogatory by virtue of the fact that's still how we look at ourselves. And it's twofold. So that's how we incarnate. Like I say, we arrive with our bucket of fears, and the game is who can get rid of them the first, the quickest. And then you become an inspiration for other people to do the same. Mm-hmm. But really, it's also without the constriction of self-judgment or self-criticism, you don't actually have to learn the language of love. See, it's easy to love the parts of you that you love. It's easy to love the parts of you that you like or that you find attractive. But love that is able to embrace all of the parts of you that you think are ugly is love. See, love doesn't distinguish between forms. And so going back to how we sort of prior to this were talking about love that is based on, well, you do what I want you to do, then I love you. That's not love. That's conditional. That's preference.
Yeah.
So ironically, by virtue of the fact that we have these narratives and the dialogues about ourselves that are derogatory, then that part of us is actually the conduit to which we get to manifest what real love is, which is being able to embrace all parts.
Do we actually ever experience anyone else, or do we only really actually experience ourselves and our wounds, our triggers, our insecurities, our judgments, do we only ever experience ourselves? I know that's like, I'm actually jumping into a concept that's probably a little too complicated if you haven't even gone there as far as mirroring, triggers, projections, wounds, right? So maybe we should back it up before I ask that question. Do we ever actually experience anyone else? And unpack the human experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and
well, that could take a while. I think the first part of your question is powerful. It's, we could argue, it depends how deep you want to go, that it's all us.
All the way. I want to go all the way.
Okay, that's what she said. Is this an R-rated
podcast?
It's
important we say whatever the hell we want. It's important to make jokes along the way when we're saying really big words and talking about really big concepts, because it is humanizing and relatable.
Really big things.
She said that too.
She did. Self-declared. So
we rip away.
So I guess words are so imperative. So for you to say, do we really experience anybody else? We could say, well, what do you mean by do we really experience, right? And this is where I think love and relationships, which is something I've spoken to a lot recently, it's so imperative to understand, because in order to be truly connected with somebody, you have to know how to listen. And most people don't know how to listen because they're listening through a filter of self-protection. So invariably, most people aren't able to be with another person fully because by virtue of their brain, which is designed to predict and protect, because it's a survival mechanism, then invariably what's actually happening at a deeper subconscious level is we're looking out for anything that could be a perceived threat. And now, perceived threat doesn't have to be someone running at us with a knife or a saber-toothed tiger. It could be somebody saying something that is in conflict with our belief structures. Right. So then we feel the need to defend. Now, what's actually happening in that interaction is you're not hearing what they're saying. You're hearing, your ears work, you hear the sound. But what it is, it's coming up against something that is so primal in the way that you relate to yourself in life that it feels like it's a threat. At that moment, there's no connection, there's no relationship. And this is why most relationships don't work, because people don't actually listen, particularly, sadly, the men. Women are much better at that and holding space for each other. So I think the only way that you could truly get close to experiencing somebody else is when you really understand what it means to listen. And listening is similar to, it's akin to love, because you're holding space for someone to have their reality, regardless of whether you agree with it, condone it, or get it, or understand it, it doesn't matter. You're understanding that that's their current reality, and it's transitory, right? Like, I was in Hawaii doing a retreat, predominantly women, and this one mum, very sweet, she said, how do I help my son who's always speaking negatively about himself, and especially as it relates to his older brother? He kept saying, I'm never going to be as good as Jimmy, and she went on to say, I'm telling him he's all his attributes, all of his skills, like, no, but you're amazing, and you're this, and you're kind, and you're that. And I said, but you're not listening to him. And, it was quite confronting for me to just be that blatant with her. And I said,
she thinks she's doing it right.
Right. She's being a mom and she loves her son. And I got it. I understand her reality, but it's a superimposition of her view on top of his, which is a form of demand and manipulation. So she was amazing. She was such a trooper. And I said, so I just want you to consider your son is saying what he's saying, and that's his reality. Now, I understand you don't want him to hang out in this world of demise and insufficiency, but that is his reality. And the degree to which you're not meeting him there is the degree to which it's being perpetuated. And she's like, oh my God. And she said, what's funny? He's always telling me I don't listen. I said, well, apparently he's pretty astute, So but it was so powerful. She had a tear in her eye, because I said, listen, I, of course, with you, want him to feel a sense of worth and for his perception relative to his brother to be enhanced, and so that he doesn't feel inadequate. But until such time that you honor somebody's reality for where they are right now, there is no shift. There is no transformation. So she really got it. And she said, wow, that's so powerful. Then you can get into his world, which would be the closest to getting to experience somebody, and say, well, why do you feel that? Where did that start? What happened? Versus you superimposing your view on someone else's. She got to have the opportunity to understand why he felt that way. At the end of our interaction, she was really sporty, and everybody got so much from it in the group, which is often the case when I'm working with someone one-on-one. Sure. I said, here's my invitation to you. Go meet your son. And that's when the tears really started rolling, because she loves him, but she hadn't really met him. Where he's at. The being. Yeah. So, and she sent me a beautiful email a couple of weeks after. She's like, our relationship is night and day. Like,